I guess there's a holiday show. Maybe Eric has no clue.
Oh,
Was
that the Slack?
No.
Oh,
it just made me think of reaching out to Eric, asking if there was a holiday show, Christmas show this year.
Oh,
and he said, "I don't know. I think so." Jared would know. Maybe the 20th. So
Jared would know.
I need to ask Jared. It's on the calendar.
It's never on the calendar. Ever. You know why we're off for the holidays on the calendar? Is because I added it to the calendar.
I was listening.
The only thing that shows up on the calendar is stuff that Jared accidentally puts on there, like he has a dentist appointment.
I was listening to the show yesterday, and Jared got a little bit of attitude.
When?
I know you weren't on yesterday, so.
Oh, wait, I wasn't there.
You won't recall the moment, and I can't even remember what specifically was being discussed, but Jared was talking about something, and Eric said, no, you're getting that wrong. And Jared said, well, enlighten me, like that.
Oh! Nice.
Yeah. He's assessing, I think, his role in the show.
Oh,
maybe just his job and career in general. Maybe his whole life. Who knows what's going on? But I think he's looking and he's saying, I've been here for 10 years and it's the same fucking job. And that should be me in the chair. It should be me hosting the show. So he's getting, a little antsy about that.
See, I don't think he thinks that way.
On some level,
I really don't.
That exists. Who wouldn't, on some level, working closely to a radio show who aspires to be a host themselves, not think?
Yeah, but I don't think it's like should. I think that he wants to do it. I don't know. I just don't think he's that diabolical,
Well, just thinking that's not diabolical. Now, if you undermine the show and you start not bleeping clips, so fuck goes out over the air constantly. And you somehow set it up so it's it's on Eric's soundboard and not on your soundboard. So Eric's the one sending out.
Ooh,
you try to sabotage, then you're diabolical. The funny thing at that point would be is if he did sabotage the show and it got kicked off the air or wasn't re-signed, he wouldn't get the shift. So then he'd have no job.
What the fuck ever.
Anyway. Welcome to One Topic.
Where we stick
2
1
topic.
My name
is
Autumn.
No, you can say your own name.
Fisher.
And my name is Greg Russ.
Oh, you did it all.
So if there's a holiday show on the 20th, I don't know. Should I go to Atlanta? That's only 14 days away. That's 2 weeks.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, but I gotta get this status on Delta. I've already surpassed silver. And
fancy.
Gold's within reach. If
God damn it.
If
now there's someone at the door. I told them to come at noon.
Who is this?
It's a maintenance person.
No.
Hold on, let me tell them. Here, keep recording. You can listen to it.
Okay. We're not going to be able to hear it. I think you're going to be walking pretty far away from the microphone. Why the hell are you showing up an hour early?
Who is it?
It's a one-time. She is speaking probably a little more loudly than she normally would. Louder. Speaking louder. Loudest. But I think it would still be she's speaking a little more loudly. A little more louder is not right. A little louder. I guess the little. God, who fucking knows? Who cares? Who cares?
Okay, sorry.
If you speak good these days, people judge you for it. Anyway, I was while you were gone, I was talking about you going to talk to this maintenance person and how because you said listen in, and I said they're not going to be able to hear.
Oh, could you?
I could tell that you were speaking louder than you normally would, but the way I phrased it was, you can hear a little bit. She's speaking a little more loudly. And then that sent me on the tangent of like, but louder, it's louder and loudest.
Oh,
But I think in that context, a little more loudly.
oh.
Is that right?
A little more loud.
Yeah, I have no fucking clue. Like I said, when you put your headphones back on, it doesn't matter.
Fuck.
If you speak good English,
Uh-huh.
you're judged for being elite and snooty.
Who
Privileged.
is judging you?
Privileged.
Nobody.
There are people who say, "Oh, the fact that you can even think about having a good grasp on the language means that you're privileged."
Oh.
I have more important things to worry about, like where my next meal's going to come
Oh
from.
my goodness.
So
I don't know what you're talking about. No, I've never encountered anybody that does that.
I have to check myself.
Before you wreck yourself.
Anyway, I was saying with this flight,
Uh-huh.
I mean, fucking, I hate it. I hate that I'm caught in the Delta ecosystem. For the longest time, I didn't give a shit. I was still like a member of the frequent flyer programs for
Sure.
all the different airlines, but I just booked the flight that was the cheapest or the one that made the most sense.
And you have that card that you can get into the lounge, right?
I have the Amex Platinum, which
Can you get in the lounge with that?
you can get into the Centurion Lounge, which is the Amex lounge, or Delta lounges. But because anyone can get that card now,
Oh.
like it's at some point it used to be a status symbol of some sort, which is not the reason I would have gotten it. That probably would have driven me away from it. But it became more accessible. There was one time we did this video shoot for Amex, and we interviewed people, and like the whole
Mhm.
thing was, it's not luxury if it's accessible to everyone. And it was for the
Oh.
Platinum card. And I thought, fuck that credit card. Fuck this company. I will never, ever, ever get an Amex. And now I have one.
But why? Just because you didn't like the
way they were promoting it, it was
Yeah.
just a bunch of insufferable people. When I travel, I love to go shopping. So I go to districts and famous cities where I can buy designer brands with my Platinum card.
Mm.
And then they just opened the floodgates. They said, yeah, whatever. You want it? You want it? You want it? Sure. Great. $695 a year. So we're going to make a shitload of money. Everyone can have a Platinum card, which then flooded the lounges. And they're scaling back next year. You can only go to the lounge 10 times, a Delta lounge 10 times with the credit card.
So what's the difference between that Centurion thing you said and the Sky Lounge?
That's just for Delta. And the Centurion lounge, I could be flying any airline. And I can get into the lounge. But for the Delta lounge, you have to be flying Delta.
Have you been in that?
Which one? The Centurion lounge?
Yeah. I've only been in Sky Lounge.
Yeah. It's like any other lounge.
Okay.
Listen to me.
Fun.
Then listen to me.
Ah,
It's like any
It's like
other.
any other lounge.
There's nothing special about it.
Ugh, absolutely. Hmm.
So, fuck me. I'm an idiot. Suddenly found myself in the Delta ecosystem, and I'm booking flights. And if I don't get to fly Delta, I'm bummed. For example, when
No, Delta's awesome. I'm the same way. I'm snooty when it comes to flying.
it's not even about me being snooty. I want those fucking points, and I know they have me right where they want me, and they've devalued the whole system. And it's not even. In the past, I was reading you had to spend, let's say, around $15,000 to get to. I don't know what their statuses are: silver, gold, diamond, platinum,
platinum.
diamond.
Yeah. Platinum,
So-
Diamond Plus.
So to get to one of those top ones, not the silver,
Okay.
the gold, in the past you had to spend, I don't know, around $14,000. Then they revamped their system, and this year was the first year where they just kind of combined, because before it was how much you spent, but how many miles you flew, and they combined it, and it's really more about how much you spend and not it's much about how far you fly. And it comes out to be now you have to spend like $26,000 to get the same status.
Whoa.
So, they've fucked people over, and those lounges are filled with idiots. And when I go to the lounge, I'm a proper lounge attendee. I sit there, I'm quiet, I mind my own business, not yapping my mouth on some phone call about some inane business deal.
Yeah, business,
I'm
business.
so fucking important. I'm not listening to my fucking music or kicking up my dirty feet on the seat next to me so someone can't sit. They've really lowered the standard, allowed the livestock in.
The riffraff.
So despite all that, I'm thinking about getting the fancy Delta Amex credit card, the one that cost $650 a year. So then I'd have two credit cards that cost over $600 a year because
Whoa.
they'll give me 2,500 points, and that'll get me close to gold status. But I'd still need one more flight to get to it, so I could fly to Atlanta and I could achieve the thing that doesn't fucking matter. But I could get a tag for my suitcase and I could put it on there and walk around the airport with some misplaced sense of superiority. They sent me a silver tag. It's like, put this luggage tag. And I was like, I'm not putting that on my suitcase. It's
Yeah,
embarrassing.
that is strange.
I mean, silver is a joke anyway, and anyone who has the real status would judge
silver,
me.
that's what it's called. It's
Look,
beautiful gold, so silver, and shameful bronze.
Is it? There's no bronze though.
Yeah.
Where'd you come up with this? Is this from the Olympics?
Yeah, it's from the Olympics, from The Simpsons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, bronze and silver in the Olympics are a joke. I wouldn't want to win either.
Shameful bronze.
I wouldn't want to win either. Why
Who gives a fuck? Honestly, like winning, I never really thought about the like what happens after you win. It's like maybe you'll get on a Wheaties box or something. Maybe if the sport is popular enough. Or if the Olympics make a deal where it's like this sport that isn't that popular, we're still going to put you on the Wheaties box. But then what? Nothing. Now you're just, all right, well, I've achieved the ultimate goal. There's nowhere else to go from here. Now I'll just be a coach.
I think about that with the astronauts who went to the moon. It's like, you're not topping that. That's the
Well,
achievement of
astronauts
your
are
career.
scientists typically, or they're pilots.
I get it, but I'm just saying, it's like the rest of your career, you're not topping that.
Yeah.
There's nothing you're going to do in your career that is going to top going to the moon. So I'm not saying you quit, but it's got to be a strange existence. Like, I don't know. You strive for things in life, and when you achieve the top, the ultimate goal, and there's really no way to go past that, what do you do next?
But
so,
at least if you're an astronaut, you're not like 21. You know, like these people, these kids in the Olympics, some of them.
I think they have, they make a lot of money, not through the Olympics, but through all the endorsements after the Olympics.
That's what I'm saying. What endorsements?
Someone like
who's
Phelps.
Endorsing someone who does maybe if you like, I was going to say the bow and arrow. What's that called? Archery. If you're in archery and you win, then you could be like, I endorse this, but it's like you're on a box or something.
No, it's outside of that. You get general endorsements. If you're someone who wins multiple gold medals,
yeah,
they put you on the Wheaties box.
Yeah.
You know, Phelps for swimming, and then everyone gets an endorsement with the Citizen Eco Drive watch.
Oh, they do.
Something like that. It's like, yeah, we want this champion who's the best of the best at the sport that most people don't normally care about. But when it comes to the Olympics, they do care because this person destroyed the competition. And that's who I want to represent my brand, because my brand is the best. It destroys the competition. So it makes perfect sense. I don't know what other kind of things. Skincare products, probably for the gymnasts.
Why?
Yeah, because that just, I'm not saying.
No, that's rude.
The brands lean into stereotypes. You think skincare products going to go for a skateboarder? No.
I don't think they're going to go for any Olympian.
Oh, they will.
Skincare?
You're going to tell me.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking is more like makeup, and not like I used to have acne and it was so embarrassing during competition or whatever.
I think makeup's probably one too.
Nah. They're too flooded with celebrity endorsements and like trans people. That's not a slight on trans people. I'm just saying.
You're just saying the current state of marketing is.
Yeah.
No, I would say makeup goes after. Everyone wants to be attached. It's a very pathetic society. It's very, very, like, to me, when somebody is really good at something, I want to stay away from them. I don't think I want to ride their coattails, be close, be in proximity, leech onto some of that fame. I think, fuck, I'm a goddamn loser. And being near them is just going to remind me even more that I'm a loser. And especially if it's something I want. Like if I were a swimmer, and Phelps was around, I'd be so jealous. I'd say, I'm like, I don't
jealous?
I'd be jealous because if I were a swimmer, I want to be him. And I would be very sad that I wasn't good enough to be him.
Yeah.
And just hanging around him would just remind me of my inadequacy when it came to swimming. But for the most part, our society loves to grasp on, go for the ride with the fucking gold winner.
I guess.
You don't think so? I don't think you're impressed by it that much. I can appreciate what these people do,
Sure.
but I'm not overly impressed. I'm like, yeah, that's quite an amazing feat.
Yeah.
And that's about the end of it. And I think you feel the same. And most people I know feel the same, but it clearly happens.
Yeah.
Or why are these people getting endorsements if it doesn't prove worthwhile?
Endorsements are strange anyway. You know, like if Billie Eilish comes on TV and says, "These are my favorite socks," it's like, okay. I'm not going to be like, "Oh my gosh, Billie loves these socks." But if somebody is like, that's why this TikTok stuff works so well, is that people are on there and you follow them and you like them. And like, I follow this stripper, and she talks about her favorite primer that she uses. And she was like, I feel like you should ask a stripper like what the best makeup is to or like the best primer to use that will help your makeup stay on forever, because we're in the club and it's sweaty and it's getting rubbed on people's clothing and it stays on, you know. So, and I just like her, so it's like a friend almost that has some expertise in something, who's telling me something that she likes, and she's not getting paid for it, you know.
Not yet.
Well, not yet, exactly. But then once they start, because there is this woman named Michaela, who she's a little bit controversial only because she has this fake Boston accent that like in her early videos she doesn't have. And now she's got this real Boston accent. she had real flawed skin at first. And so she showed you like how to apply this makeup, but then she became an ambassador and a brand representative or whatever. And then she started lying to you. You know, she was like, I'm using this mascara, and then it would be like a hard edit. And then all of a sudden she would have fake lashes on. She's like, these aren't fake lashes. And I'm simplifying it. She wasn't that obvious, but you could tell that she was wearing false eyelashes after she applied this like mascara and pretended it was the mascara. And we're like, what the fuck? And so you get kind of like burned once they become actual paid employees of companies.
Everyone's compromised at some point. It can't exist. It can exist, meaning the person can continue to exist in the way that made them popular in the first place, but they make no money off of it. And most people aren't willing to do that. And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I would have an internal struggle, I think, if the reason I got popular was because people trusted my makeup opinions, and then suddenly I was influenced by the makeup companies.
Yeah.
I would have a problem with that.
I think I would too, even if I was getting paid a lot of money.
So what happens to doctors?
People, I owe them almost.
So what happens to doctors? The pharmaceutical reps come in and they do their pitch. It makes me think of when we worked in radio. The record reps would come in and sit with the program director and play them music and like, what do you think of this track? What about this one? This is Camera Obscura, French Navy. You like that song? It's like, no, it's not really gonna play. Oh, and then payola, plugola was the thing. Mm-hmm. They had to outlaw that. There was. I had a friend who was a record collector, and he bought some sealed promotional records. So the records that they would send to radio stations, but they're always stamped, promotional.
Right. Yeah.
And he opened it, and there was like a crisp, brand new $50 bill in there, but from decades ago, old style $50 bill. Yeah. So they were just sending the money around.
$50.
Yeah, I know. It feels like it should be more, but if it's the 70s, I don't know. With inflation.
Yeah. Well,
also, it's $50 and you don't play the album; you just put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
I think if you pay the album, maybe that's just saying there's more where this came from.
Yeah. Maybe so.
So they outlawed that. With doctors, though, I know the pharmaceutical reps show up and try to push the medications on them, and it does influence doctors. And I don't know enough about how it works for them, kickbacks, but they have to profit in some way. If you write a certain number of prescriptions for this.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I know that there was this controversy with a specific drug. I can't remember what it was. It was a drug that's been around forever. You know, it costs like $12 at the pharmacy with insurance. And someone changed the formula for it to be delayed release or something. But for this medication, that is insignificant. Like that doesn't change anything about the medication at all, but it did change the formula. And so it was allowed to be technically something different. But what they did was they kept it the same name that it always has been, but added delayed release at the end of it. But what happened was it was added to the top of drop-down menus when it came to medical systems, when they were coding and like putting in medications and prescriptions and things that were being sent to pharmacies. And it was like $300 instead of what it has always been, which is $12. And doctors didn't know that they were just, or maybe not even doctors, but like people that were putting it in the system to send to pharmacies didn't know that this was a different medication than what they've always selected, because it just said delayed release and they know that that doesn't mean anything. And so they just selected it, either because they're in a hurry or they're just, it doesn't matter. It's like, what? I don't know. That's it. And then these customers were we're stuck paying like $300 instead of $12. And that was a way for that drug company to make a bajillion more dollars.
I'm trying to look up to see if I can figure out which drug this is. I mean, it tracks. I wouldn't put it past these companies, pharmaceutical companies, healthcare in general. This CEO for United Healthcare that was just assassinated.
I feel bad for kind of being on the side of like, okay.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
I know. I don't like. I mean, if he has kids,
he does have kids.
See, and
he has a wife. I think on a human level, you see the loss of life, and you're able to empathize and say that's a terrible thing. But on a more hypothetical level, and the representation of the CEO who's profiting off of the suffering and deaths of other people who are denied treatment,
and just recently made a bonus or whatever of millions of dollars, while cancer patients are being denied chemo treatments.
It makes sense why people are feeling that way.
Yeah.
And
then they offer $10,000 for that guy, for the gunman. $10,000.
Yeah, that's just the standard. I know. I think a lot of people they at least understand that guy's motivations.
Yeah.
And I think
it was like a mob thing. It was so pro.
No, it wasn't that pro.
It wasn't?
It seemed pro. He just put some planning into it. He knew how to handle a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, he took the time to scratch, delay, deny, and depose into the bullets. So the casings.
That's from like a book or something?
Yeah, it's a book about how the healthcare industry denies you, the different tactics that they use. 3 of those: delay, deny, depose.
It's so cinematic, the whole thing.
But he handled the gun. He had planned, his escape route. He knew what he was going to do. But they already have pictures of him with his mask down. It's like he wasn't that much of a professional. Else he would have, I think, because they already know a hostel he stayed at in New York, where he came from. I think he came from Atlanta.
What?
Yeah. So they're already on this guy's tail.
Okay.
I think a real professional would have hidden their face for like days. It's just something you have to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to wear this mask for days. It's cold here. It's not it's got.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that crazy. And people wear masks now, so.
But yeah, and then the reaction online's always the same. It's black and white. And I forget who it was, but a writer for Washington Post made some comment about the killing of the CEO. And then that was taken by the mainstream media and said, oh, can you believe how disgusting it is? And there's no exploration of the feelings. Yeah, nobody, like, I don't feel good that there's part of me. It's like, yeah, good. Again, that's representative. It's not on a human level. If I knew the guy or I saw him get shot, then it becomes very real. But it's still removed for me and provides a perfect kind of example of feelings towards the healthcare system. And that's what people should really dig into. That's what the reporting on this should be. Not that people who are applauding it are disgusting.
Right.
Why are so many people applauding it? We don't need to look at how disgusting our society is because we're cheering the death of a person. There's many examples of that happening throughout history, but there's a reason that is the reaction that a lot of people are having. And again, I do believe that a lot of people, if they saw the guy and they saw him die, the feelings would be very different because then it becomes a very real event.
Yeah. Just the way that things are being handled, not in this sense where it's like people are saying that because of the people's reaction, then we're a horrible society. Not that part, but the part where we've set up a system where the profits constantly have to go up because of shareholders, and then companies constantly have to make more and more profit, and then they don't even care about the longevity of the company or the quality of the product because they just need to satisfy the shareholders because they're the ones making the most money. The people making the money off of us is not really that important. At the end, it's all about making the money on this like very superficial level.
Because if they don't show profits, people leave, they sell the stock, and then their value goes down. Yeah, it's
right.
That's a big part of it.
They make $14 million or something, and it's like, cool, I've made $14 million. I'm going to move on to the next thing, and we'll just suck that company dry and let it fail.
That's a big part of it. But I also think if this was a private company, let's say United Healthcare was private, so they didn't have shareholders, they'd still give in to making as much profit as they could. Like you could just say, hey, we cover operating costs. Everyone gets paid well. We have a little excess in a fund in case things go bad. But somewhere along the lines, like, no, let's make more. Come on, more.
Yeah.
Don't you want more? I want more. So yes, being public, and I've always said the same thing, continued nonstop growth is a ridiculous ask.
Yes.
But that's what the market demands. But it's also just the way people are. That aside, it's like, well, we can make more. Blue Cross Blue Shield mentioned that they weren't going to pay for anesthesia past a certain point.
I saw that. That's insane.
And they went back on it already after this happened and the backlash. They
have to.
Like, oh, we're changing that. But what are you going to do? Something that's totally out of the patient's control.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already at the point where people don't want to take ambulances.
No.
When I mean, I'm sure if it's super critical, you're not thinking about it, but there's probably very serious situations where it's
absolutely
you need to get an ambulance. No, I'm not doing it. That's fucked up. People shouldn't be thinking about that stuff. And you're going to have people going into a surgery. Granted, you're under, so you can't just say, oh, we hit our time limit, stop, you're not done with the surgery. But I feel if people had the opportunity to do that, it's going to weigh on their minds. Like I've got 2 hours of anesthesia and this surgery is supposed to go how long? Well, it's an hour 45, but we could go to 2.5, 3 hours. Like, no. Just stop wherever you are when you hit the limit. It's a fucked up.
Or doctors or surgeons will rush.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think they care at the end of the day, but if somehow it got pushed back onto them where they had to pay the overage, then they'd rush. Yeah. But you're the one paying it as the patient. Thank God that's gone for the time being. I just don't even know how you settle on that a lot of it is just the prices I know are outrageous, but that's, part of.
But there's so many other ways. Like I know there was someone who worked as a like hospital supplier, and IV things that without insurance you pay $1,000 something for to get an IV are like 7 cents. You know what I mean? Like the hospitals are getting cases of diapers for like $1. And it's like and then they charge you. Well, they charge insurance. They're charging the insurance, and then without the insurance, the hospital's like, well, we'll charge you what we would charge the insurance because this is kind of quote what it costs, and then people are fucked.
There was supposed to be. There was something passed, some law that hospitals, healthcare needed to be more transparent
I've
about
heard that, yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's going to be cheaper. They're just like, yeah, okay, here's everything you're going to pay that's going to cost you a shitload of money.
$450.
That's born out of the insurance agents, the companies paying less.
Yeah.
So healthcare costs $100. They come back and say, I'm paying you $20. Then the hospital says, well, it really did cost $100. So let's raise it to $500. Then they'll come back and say, we'll pay you $100. And then we get what we want. And that shit just snowballs over time.
Yeah.
The fact that it's passed on to people without insurance at the same rate is insane to me. And everyone says, well, you can negotiate with the hospital. Just tell them that you have this much money. And that's true to an extent. But I don't think you're going to get the same kind of discount an insurance company ultimately gets. And then even, with the discount, these things become thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And the insurance company doesn't pay the full 100%. They're still paying out quite a lot of money. I think I've always been an advocate for some sort of healthcare reform. Is it as extreme as nationalized healthcare? I just don't know how you implement it. Everybody has to be on board. In theory, I would like that. But, the NHS and the UK, which they're very proud of, their healthcare that's accessible to everyone, it's having issues with funding at this point. And that's the last thing you want. And you always hear stories, people like, you have to wait 16 months to get to see a doctor. I don't know how true that is. I'm sure that there are cases.
I have not heard that. I think that there are probably locations, right? Like areas that you may live in where, maybe people are underserved. And so you have a lot more issues getting help quickly. But I mean, everyone that I've ever known that's left the United States to go get a surgery in Europe or to have like something in Europe, then they've walked in and walked out. Like nothing. The end.
I think, look, specialized care in general. Here in New York, where, our healthcare system, to see a specialist, you do have to wait sometimes anyway. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how much that's tied to it just being nationalized.
Yeah, talk about waiting a month. Like my dad needed help with his medication. And until it became an emergency, it was like, well, we have an appointment in 3 months. Or like, hey, this thing on my nose is growing. Worried that it's cancer because it was like labeled as precancerous before. And so I need to see somebody. Oh, well, we don't have any appointments until 8 months from now. It's like, okay, well then what's the fucking difference?
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah, it's really common. So what the fuck?
I needed to go see a specialist and it took a month and a half to get in. And then they canceled it on me. And rescheduling it was a month later. I thought by canceling on me, they just say, okay, well, we're going to push it.
We'll squeeze you in somewhere.
No, you have to wait another month. That aside, the United States is a much bigger country than Canada or England. So if it's not nationalized healthcare, because they can barely run Social Security. So I don't trust. Like in theory, I like the idea of everyone having that kind of access just granted to them. I think on some level we should strive for that. In practice, I know that the government would fuck it up. And it would just become a fucking mess. But insurance companies, I mean, the fact that it's still mostly, you have the Affordable Care Act that they're still trying to destroy and is only half done. So it's not that good. It does offer people some sort of coverage. But for the most part, the fact it's still tied to full-time employment is dumb.
Yeah.
An outdated fucking idea born from a time when companies really needed employees and tried to lure them in with benefits. That's nice. I'm not saying that it shouldn't exist, that your employer should pay the majority of your health care if you have a full-time job, but it should also be available if you don't have a full-time job, especially in an economy that pushes gig culture.
Yeah.
Take gigs, work different jobs, pursue the freedom that you've always wanted. And just freelance in general has already been a thing. And insurance is very expensive at that point and difficult. Maybe insurance companies should be not for profit. They would never do this. There'd be no point, I think, for them to continue to operate in their minds. But it would be nice. It's like, look, you make your money and cover your costs. Everyone can have their nice salary still if you want. The money's clearly there, but you're not allowed to make a lot of profit. So
I don't really see what the problem with that would be. I guess the people that have investment, like people that are, if it is a shareholder thing, then those people want, I guess it has to be removed from that.
You can still be abusive and disgusting, like NYU. They're not for profit, different than non-profit. Not for profit's different than non-profit. They're not for profit, meaning they can't have an excess of funds they don't do anything with. That's why they buy up all the real estate they can in New York, because they have shitloads of money and they pay people outrageous salaries. And then, so, now that I'm talking about this, the insurance companies, even if they were not for profit, would still find ways to abuse it. You'd live in insurance-owned housing. They go around.
Yeah, like Amazon Prime. Like they're going to start building houses.
Yeah.
Your Prime house.
At the end of the day, the greed is going to take over. And when it comes to industries where people's lives are really on the line, it's disgusting. And people can always find a way, though, to justify it in their brains. Maybe they don't even need to.
Especially when it comes to money. It really is strange that, like, it's not, I mean, we were middle class, I think. And so it's not like I grew up with money. I didn't grow up without money. I'm sure there's worse. But anyway, I'm trying to say that I don't understand how once you start making real fat money, I don't understand what the drive is to build it and build it and build it. Like millionaires, not just 1 million, but like, I got a $14 million bonus, stuff like that. When that's not out of nothing, you're already making, so much a year constantly. So I don't get the drive. It's like, no, I'm good. This is good. If this stayed exactly the way it is now, without the bonuses, I'd be set, generational wealth. My kids will be assholes because they're growing up rich. Like, I don't need, it's like the gold medal. I'm done. So now, why not turn your sights toward making the company a better company? And like,
well, with the gold medal, I don't think that they want to be done. Maybe they enjoy not having to train so hard, but there's still a pursuit.
Well, all right. Well, then that's a bad connection then.
No, I'm not trying to dismiss your connection. I'm saying that maybe this ties into why there's still a pursuit for more. It's like, you've gotten to where you've gotten to a place you could have only dreamed of.
Yeah.
But then it's not enough. I saw this when I had the dumb AMC stock. I was up $22,000. Could have profited $22,000.
Wow.
On a $5,000 investment. But at that point, I thought, no, this can go higher. This can go higher. This can be more. I want more. Yeah. Maybe that isn't the best example because we've talked about that before, that I was also buying into this idea of fucking over the hedge funds and really liked that idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that thought. But, okay, let's use a different investment. That Rocket Lab stock that I bought, I invested.
Oh, yeah.
I invested like $2,000 and it's up $7,000 now. So if I cashed out, it'd be $9,000. So $7,000 on top of my initial investment. I don't want to take that. I want more. I think that this company, this isn't a good example either, though, because this company's young and I do feel like there's a lot of room for it to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say this company's been established and they've kind of settled into their stock price, and I made $7,000. I still think there'd be a drive. It's like, I don't know, but it could go up more. It's like, but it could go down. It's like, yeah, but the possibility if they're going up more is there. So maybe I just want to let it sit there and I can get more out of it.
Well, this, like I said, the small amounts, it's like you're wanting to build it. But if it was at like 6 million, do you think at some point you'd be like, no, I'm okay, I'll take it?
I think about that. Like if let's say just, I got really lucky and just invested in some company that blew up.
Yeah.
And I had millions of dollars sitting there. And at that point, it's not money I had before. I made it through my initial investment. And would I want to take it out, or would I get greedy and want to try to grow it into more?
But then there would have to be like a detriment, not just the idea of losing money. Would like there would have to be like, yeah, but my personal relationship with my girlfriend is deteriorating, but I'm gonna have to I have to like that. I have to be okay with that for this money to continue to grow.
Okay, so the more money that I get, the more
worse
the relationship deteriorates.
Sure.
Okay, that's an outside factor.
Right, because that's what's happening. These companies, they don't give a fuck about the actual company. And then not just the company itself, because actually, what is a company? It's just a thing, a concept, a building, whatever. But then all the people that either work there, have their whole livelihoods tied to it, might be very close to retirement, and they're like in their 60s.
At the end of the day, people are just there for theirs. They are just there for theirs. I feel like if you're a CEO of a company in a changing industry, TV is a good example. And with streaming and all the other shit now, cable TV and network TV is not the same it used to be. If you're the CEO and you're not a new CEO brought in to change things, you're like, fuck, I just want to make my money. I just want to retire. I don't want to go through a whole restructure and rebuild and reinventing of this industry. So you dig in, you're like, nah, so they don't care about the company. They just care about.
They shouldn't be a CEO. If you don't care about the company, being a CEO shouldn't be how to maximize profits. It should be how to care about this company.
There are CEOs like that. Again, Rocket Lab, not financial advice. One of the reasons I invested in that company is because I really like the CEO. He's a guy who just fucking loves space and wanted to work for NASA and rockets, and he has an idea for
you like it. It's something you believe in.
Yeah,
because you feel like the person believes in it.
I think when you start the company, if you're the person who starts the company and you are the CEO of the company at that point, then yes, it's a different motivation because it's yours. It's your idea. It's a thing that you nurtured, that you're growing, and you care about that. The moment it gets passed off, you can't translate that to another person. It does then become, well, my job is the financial health of the company. Like it's the overall health, but that all drives to the financial health. If the company is healthy, the profits will be there. I agree that fostering, and I'm sure that there are CEOs out there like this, fostering an environment, a good work environment for the employees, getting the best out of them. You can't, you do have to make decisions, and you're going to make decisions that employees don't like. But at the end of the day, I feel as though if most employees know that you as a CEO think about them, they're more inclined to say, well, I don't like that choice. But overall, this is a pretty good place to work. I don't know why more people don't exist like that.
Yeah.
I think it probably is just because when they're given the job, they're told what their job is, and it is not that. I still think I would go in and try to foster a good work environment. Like, the Amazon guy who's like, you're coming back to the workplace and I don't give a fucking shit. Like, okay, cool. I mean, it's been shown that you're not losing productivity I do agree that there are certain instances where being in the office is better than being remote. Things like communication, especially that everything is written through Slack, can be problematic because people read with different tones. Some people
Right.
just interpret things. Even I write, I think, very fucking clearly. And sometimes people get things out of the things I wrote, and I don't know how the fuck they got there. I put it on them and not my writing, but it's like, yes, things like this exist, but to go in and be the hard ass, it's an overcompensation of the, because there is a tendency with some companies, I think these days, to not make hard decisions. As when you run a company, you have to make difficult decisions, but this feels like an overcompensation where it's I'm going to be that. Fuck you. I don't care if you don't fucking like me. You're coming back to the office and you can quit if you don't like that. I think there's more under it too. I think they're hoping people quit so they don't have to do layoffs.
Oh, yeah. Smart.
There is an idea.
And then they'll make the other employees absorb that work so that they have to work more, still get paid the same. They can pretend to post the job on LinkedIn.
Well, once you lay people off, if you lay people off, you can't post the job. Like it's illegal. If you're laying someone off, you're saying we're contracting in size. This just a position that doesn't exist anymore. If you're found to then be hiring for it, you can be sued. If people quit, that's different. If you force people to quit, you could say, well, we'll get some backfill in when we feel like it. So then the situation you're talking about exists. Usually with layoffs too, the more work falls to fewer people. Just the way it goes.
Let's talk about let's
We can't, I gotta go.
Okay. Can we end with something nice?
Getting back to my status that kicked all of this off. If I can just get gold. What does gold even get you? It doesn't even get you.
Yeah, why? So you just want to accomplish this thing? You don't even know what you'll get?
I want the thing I want ultimately, the free upgrades, is something that's out of reach. Like that's to the top of the top.
Every once in a while, I've been on the list, and it's been exciting.
I
never got it.
I've gotten 2 Comfort Plus.
Those are my names.
Yeah, your initials, your 3.
Yeah. And it's always in this weird direction where it's like it doesn't say like Aut F or it doesn't say Fish A. It's like some strange combination. Like, I don't know what's happening, but those are mine. That's me.
That's ultimately what I want.
Yeah.
Just upgrade me to first class.
God, that would be so fucking cool.
They've in the past.
Unless you were flying to Atlanta and it's like, I guess for you, it's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's not really worth it.
No, I'd still take a free upgrade.
Oh, of course. But it's like, you really want to cash in on that, like the upgrade gods.
There are fewer
on a long flight.
Yes. But there are fewer of those these days anyway. I think like 10 years ago, they were selling 10% of first class, business class tickets. And most of it was just upgrades. And they've maximized it. Now they're selling about 85%. So there's only 15% available for upgrades. And a lot of that is, first class, especially those lie flat seats, are priced like outrageously at first.
Yeah.
It's like $6,000 one way to Dublin. It's like, no. And there's definitely more than that. Like I've seen them go up to 15,000, but no, I'm not paying that. But on my flight back, they were offering it to me for $1,100. And if I know it costs $6,000 to begin with, I'm not going to pay $1,100 because look, it's 7 hours and the 7 hours does end. And when it's over, I'm alive and I don't really fucking care.
And then you've spent $1,100.
Yes.
You're like, well, that money's gone.
But if it were a 15-hour flight, I mean, I don't know if they'd be offering it for $1,100 if it was a 15-hour flight, but that's how it works now. They will tempt people with lower prices, and apparently enough people will find value in that and say, okay, well, that's a lot cheaper than it was. So they've figured out ways. So the upgrades don't even really exist. At the end of the day, I think you're really just working to get a stupid tag that you can walk around the airport with. And
well, then why are you worried about it? Because you don't even want that.
I mean, there's some benefits to the silver. I know people make fun of silver, but the fact that it's kind of gross, actually. The fact that I can pick any seat in coach without paying Meaning, if you don't have silver status, if you want to sit not in the back of the plane, just a regular old coach seat more towards the front, in front of the wings, they charge you to book that ticket. That's pretty disgusting. They call it a preferred seat. But the fact I don't, what's that?
I've done it.
I know, because people don't want to sit in the back of the plane.
A lot of times too, it's only like $20 more. You're like, all right, I'll do it.
I know, but it's still $20 more, $29 more, $27 more.
I know. It's just that I know that I would like waste my money on something that would be $20 really easily.
I know. At the end of the day, it's not that much money, but the principle of it pisses me off.
That's true. The principle does make it harder.
Especially when Delta breaks it down to the basic where you don't even get to pick your seat. It's assigned to you when you're at the gate. So then you pick the fare where you do get to pick your seat. So you're paying more already to get the fare where you're allowed to pick your seat. But then when you pick your seat, you only get to pick half the seats for free, and half the seats are going to cost you even more money. So that's the principle. It's like, fuck you. With the silver, I get to pick the seat. I guess I get a free checked bag. Who knows what else there is? That's probably about it. But that's really all I need, because once you get to the other statuses, the only thing you want is the upgrade. But they got me. It's disgusting. This is what all these companies do. You get into their ecosystem, and then they ensnare you, and you chew off your own leg.
Chewing off your own leg. What does that look like in the scenario? It's paying $1,200 a year for cards that you don't really even care all that much about.
I mean, the platinum card I use, but it does get me the lounge access. But that's the thing, because they're limiting it to 10, which sounds like a lot. This is just for Delta, the Centurion access. But they're over. There's so many people in the lounges now, but that would only be 5 round trips, and I've already got a decent amount of travel coming up next year. So it's like, well, if I get the Delta Reserve card on top of it, that'll give me 15 more visits, and I'll get those $2,500 points, and I'll get a companion fare at some point. Blah blah blah. Maybe, maybe I should focus on something else in my life. This feels like it's happening to fill some kind of gap.
Yeah.
Maybe I should practice my swimming to become an Olympic champion.
There you go.
And then I don't have to think
of Delta.
You
need to focus. You need to get hyper-focused on something else.
Delta will give me status. Like, here you go. Take it. All right. I got to go.
Okay.
So.
Good times. Thanks for listening, everybody. Like and subscribe, rate and review. I hope you're having a lovely holiday time. Talk to you later. Bye.